What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to All Sports Best, the podcast. Today we have our special guest on, Cale Sanders, for the first time this year as the Carlsbad Cavemen get prepared to take on the rival in the Artesia Bulldogs. Coach, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely, man. It's been a while.
It has.
I'm kind of out of podcast shape.
Yeah, are you?
Got to get back into it.
You'll get the juice.
Yeah,
You'll
we'll be good.
Today's podcast is brought to you by CNB Bank. Ready to buy a home? Discover how CNB Bank can help you achieve your dream. Visit us today. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. Coach, I wanted to start you off with something kind of like we always do.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy, but I wanted to know what a perfect day looks like in football as a coach.
Are you talking like weather, or are you just talking just overall?
Just overall, what does it look like from start to finish?
To be honest, it has been a long time since I've had one of these, but the perfect day for a coach in my book is a Thanksgiving morning football practice.
Oh.
If you're practicing that week, you're deep into the playoffs. So, like I said, the last time I did it was, we were at Goddard, and it's usually at that time, this calendars have changed a little bit. It's actually state championship week this year, but it's usually your semifinal. It's your semifinal game. So there's nothing like families in town, and you got that morning practice, and there's usually a lot of people there, and it's a great feeling because it's playoff environment. Yeah. It's if you're practicing on Thanksgiving, it's a great thing. So.
Okay. And then I wanted to move it into, you played football for a long time.
Long time.
So as a player, what does that look like?
May sound weird, but I like the cold weather. I like it nasty, like wind blowing and snow.
As a player, you like that?
I did. I love it as a coach too.
Yeah.
But those days, and then I enjoyed the Thursday kick the field walk through type stuff. It just like the week was over. You did already the grind's over. Everything's put in the schematics.
Yeah.
And it's like you're just putting the sprinkles on it, and then like. In a day or 2 days, you're about to go. And it was just always a relaxed practice. It's always shell, and it's always fun. So I loved walkthroughs.
Okay.
That was my favorite day for sure.
First game of the year, rivalry game, orange versus blue, Artesia, Carlsbad. What else can I say? Cavemen, Bulldogs.
Eddy County War.
Yeah. 30 minutes away. What is the level of excitement in the locker room right now?
It's really good.
Yeah.
Our kids are excited. They're ready to play. Like, we've just been clanging on each other, and they're itching to hit somebody else. They're actually hitting each other a little too much.
Oh, okay.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But they're excited. I don't think it has anything to do with Artesia. I just think that these guys they had a phenomenal spring. One of the best springs that I've seen around. And these kids, no fault of their own, but they never really truly had an off season because with the Bradley to Sukup and then the Sukup to me, it always fell a little awkward. And no one had a full staff, which we're fully staffed now, which is awesome. I got 18 total coaches from junior high all the way up. We were able to actually do that off season, so there were some really good gains there. And then the NMMA allowed us to do our padded practice in the summer, so we had 2 weeks of padded practice and. We actually got to hit. It's like, so they've been clanging and going against each other, and it's been pretty chippy, but they're just ready to go.
That's solid.
They're solid. It doesn't matter if it's Artesia, Goddard, it doesn't just somebody else other than us.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Actually, when you said that they're hitting each other a little too hard, I asked this in class, and a couple of football players answered me. Oklahoma drill is illegal now. Is that
it's highly
depends on who you ask.
Yeah, it's highly frowned upon. Yeah,
okay.
It's not.
Nobody's said it.
Yeah, it's not like the old school like bull in the ring and that stuff. Like that stuff's not. And you can church up Oklahoma drill and make it change it one little variation. It's not Oklahoma drill now.
Right.
I don't know.
Sure.
Missouri drill.
Okay.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
Yeah, they've taken away a lot of that stuff. And honestly, the way those things have fell, like there's, the old school 2-a-days, and we don't get to do that. Like our first official day of practice was the actual first day of school. So, we bring them up in the morning in practice, and then we have them in the afternoon. But it's not the old school pack your lunch and a sleeping bag and stay up there all day
Take
like
the
we used
hard hat.
to do. Yeah. And I miss that because that built a lot of camaraderie in the team. And, and we're trying to find that brotherhood. And I tell the kids, it's, if you got to love something, you got to spend time with it. I mean, time is love. And, for them to truly love each other and be brothers like we're looking for them to do, like, you got to spend time.
Yeah.
And, it's hard to do that when you only get them in the morning and the afternoon. I know those kids probably don't want to go through that full 2-a-day gauntlet of the old school days, but there was some really good stuff that came out of it, for sure.
Who are some of the returning players that we're going to look to lead us in that first game, kind of set the tone for the season?
Well, I'll start on the offense. Cason's going to be back. He's one of those guys that had a phenomenal spring. He really embraced his role. He self-evaluated it and had a really good spring. His weights went up, his speed went up. Like he just bought in completely. That's good. And he's really worked at his craft. And we kind of geared some stuff to fit him. Because I think last year we were just trying to see what we were, honestly. Like, and I hate to say this out loud, but we just weren't very good last year.
Sure.
We made a lot of mistakes, a lot of boo-boos. We were young, all the excuses of the world, but it was facts. And so we did really good as a staff, as self-scouting ourselves and see what we were good at and see what we were not good at, and we went to work on it. And Kason was the same way, and he's going to be a different cat this year. I'm excited to see what that kid can do.
Yeah.
And he's taken that leadership role, and I think the kids have bought in, and I think they'll follow him off a cliff. So that's what you need out of your quarterback.
That's what I was gonna say. That's a big part of it, right? Like if he
absolutely.
leads, that's one thing, but when people follow, that's what matters.
Yeah, because I don't want a team full of leaders.
Right.
I need 4 or 5 leaders, and I need a whole bunch of really good followers.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where Kason fits. And he's a quiet guy. He's not the rah-rah, jump down someone's throat when they do something wrong, but. He's just always there. He always does the right things. He's getting in the extra work, and hopefully, they see that. And they'll do that. So,
sure.
You got Ian Sandoval. He was a starter last year. Yeah. He carried the load for us a little bit. He's going to have to kind of step up and take a bigger role. And then that whole O-line, I'm really impressed with what they have done, because that was probably one of our biggest eyesores last year was our O-line. It's hard to do anything, when you can't block or
we don't
protect.
have time.
When you can't protect. So our O-line has really worked their tail off. I think we have about 6 or 7 of them that are, all in that big rotation of the 5, and I think only one of them's not squatting over 400 pounds. So
wow.
Like it's
good.
They had like I said, everyone had a really good offseason, but that O-line really did well this year, and then. We have a new offensive line coach, Coach Norman. Brought him in from Temple, and he's done a really good job with those kids. So
okay.
I'm excited to see what they can do.
That's actually what I was going to ask you next. I said, you went out and apparently recruited.
I did. I
for
went
football
on the
coaches.
I did.
Yeah. So you got a few new ones. So
I got
can
a
you
bunch.
Introduce them to Carlsbad.
So let's start here. Let's start with Coach Simpson.
Okay.
Coach Simpson is going to be our D-line coach. He's a UTEP guy. He played there at UTEP. He was a D tackle for UTEP, and he's kind of new to the education world, but he's fit in really good. He's intense.
Yeah.
He's the first the kids were kind of like, wow, he's kind of like he's a little much, but the kids have grown to him, and they've all really gravitated towards him. He's doing really good. And then Coach Norman, of course, I just spoke to. He was from Temple. We brought him over, and he's done a really good job. A lot of experience on that O-line stuff. That he's been O-line his whole life. So that's his baby, and he's done a really good job with them. And that group, when I'm talking about that brotherhood deal, that's the group that needs it the most. Like that's the 5, the forgotten 5.
Yeah.
That's the group that has to live together, eat together, sleep together. Like, they have to be a group as one, and he's done a really good job of doing that. So I'm trying to think who else we brought in. So Coach Jones is going to coach my freshmen.
Okay.
he took a year off. He had some health issues and he had that ankle surgery, so he kind of took a little while off there, and he's excited to be back in it. So him and Max AC, so he's a track coach. So he's got a good relationship with the kids. The kids like him and he plays good. Ronald Branch is another guy that we brought in. He's going to be up on with the freshmen too. I actually played with him at Eastern.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't even know he was in Carlsbad until actually Coach Nealon was like, "Hey, this Ronald Branch?" And I'm like,
"I do."
Ronald. I didn't call him Ronald.
Oh, yeah.
I know a guy named Roro. That's what we called him in college.
Okay.
And he's like, "I don't know who Roro is," but yeah. So he's helping us there. And then we got Coach Blackwell. He's a new guy that he was actually hired at the junior high and got moved up to the high school. We actually had a spot, and he slid right in there. So the freshman group will have 4 full-time coaches, which is awesome, which we've never had. So we got that. We still have Widener. Coach Widener's still there. You can't miss out on Widener. He's a trip. And then Coach Millar's still there. Yeah. And then we have Coach Nealon still going to be there. He's going to be doing our running back. So sorry, I'll go back. Coach Millar will be doing our secondary, and then Widener's our defensive coordinator. And then, I'm missing somebody. Oh, Coach Perez, which was coaching the O-line last year. He moved over, and he's doing my wideouts and my slot receivers.
Very cool.
And then Coach Flores, which he's one of my contract coaches. He's actually coaching the outside linebackers. So
okay.
I got to sit there and count them.
Yeah,
There's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have some. I got a couple of rock stars down at the junior high too, which is the base of what we do.
Yeah.
That in the freshman level they're crazy important to me. That's where our foundation is set, our language, our terminology, our culture, and Drew Robinson, back to Carlsbad. So he's at PR, so that's a rock star junior high coach. And
that is.
Coach York actually came from Lovington, but he was with Widener at Snyder on the varsity. He was a D-line coach for Widener when he was a DC at Snyder. So, we couldn't get him at the high school, so we got him in, and we'll get him up to the high school whenever we find a hole. So
when you can, yeah.
And so those are good football guys that our young ones, our pups, they're in good hands.
Sure.
So
I want to know this for the record. Norman lines up against Simpson.
Oh,
what's going to happen? Is it just going to be a deadlock?
It might be. Simpson might get him on the speed, but if Norman gets his hands on him. Norman's a large man.
Yeah.
He is a large man.
They're big dudes.
Yeah, they're both of them are big. So, it helps me because I guess I can run around and do this. I'm like, blow the whistle and be like,
they can just carry you away.
I need you guys over here because I just got myself in the mind.
Right.
But no, I'm not going to say yay or nay on either one of those.
Good call.
I don't want them coming after me.
Right, exactly. Most improved players to keep an eye out for?
The O-line as a whole.
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of where, and I'm not saying they're going to be the best O-line. Like Dallas Cowboys, 90s O-line, but they're much improved from where they were at last year.
Very cool.
I think, our secondary is going to be a little better than it has been in the past. And our speed, it was an issue last year. We had guys in position and spots that probably shouldn't have been there just because of just their sheer athletic ability. Like we had, safeties and corners that were running, 5-somethings. It's hard to compete in 6A with secondary guys that are running in the 5s, So, we really worked on our speed, and, I think the overall speed of the team, if you guys know me, I like double tight, double wing and get 4 yards in a cloud of dust, but we're not really built like that. So, we adjusted, and we'll see how that goes. Everyone's doing their own thing, and I think our guys have adapted to what we're doing. We didn't change a whole lot, but we're just we simplified stuff and just got down to what we're good at, and then we just 1,000 times over and over and over again. So the spring was really good. So
Artesia, always a tough one. Last year, coming off of a state championship, I think 2 in a row.
Yeah.
So, they still got to feel pretty good about that. Whole city behind them on a home game. So what are you looking at in Artesia that you're expecting and kind of something you guys are preparing for?
You got to expect the same thing from Artesia all the time. That train is rolling, and it's not going to stop for a while. And it is what it is. It's they got the community support, which is a huge huge thing.
It is.
You know, and they got that process. What we're trying to build here with the junior high and the, you know, when those guys get to the high school in Artesia, it's there. They know it. They're not teaching kids at the freshman level or the sophomore level. They're coaching, and that's where I'm trying to get at. So when my kids get to me, our system's in place, our terminology is in place, and we can actually coach it, fine tune it, not teach it.
Right.
So yeah, that's typical Artesia. They're going to be good. They're always good. You know, they always kind of have that swagger about themselves, and they should. You know, they got a bunch of state championships, and they got one of the coolest places to play in the state. They do. And we got to go there. That place is probably one of the hardest places to play. You know, it's a great home field advantage for them. But we're not making them out to be, you know, Goliaths, because you know, they're a football team and they put their pants on just like we do. But you know, it's the same old Artesia. Like as we said last year, it's our first game. I try not to put a lot of emphasis on the whole rivalry, Eddy County War stuff, because to me it's just game one.
Right, right.
You know, and it's not as important to me and the football team as, you know, people would probably want it to be.
Sure.
I'm just looking to, we go out there and we do what we need to do, and we execute what we need to execute, and we show good effort, and, you know, all those things you're looking for as a coach. I'm looking more for that than I am, we got to beat Artesia, you know, because if we beat Artesia and then lose to everybody else, it ain't worth the, you know. So
it's a good point.
I would rather you say, okay, Artesia's going to beat you, but you're going to go, you know, 9-0 the rest of the games. I won't even get on the bus. Just give it. I'll give it to them. You know?
Right.
You just and that's how we just got to take it. That's every game, honestly. But yeah, especially those first 4 games, because, you know, our district got bigger this year. They rearranged some stuff, and so we only have 4 preseason games. So those 4 preseason games are, you know, they're our warm up. They're quote unquote non-district pre-games. You know, so that's what we're looking for in Artesia.
Yeah. So let's spice it up. What do you dislike about Artesia? No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. All right. So
you got some time? There's a bunch.
The solid freshman class from last year that we talked about a few times, they moved up. They're sophomores. We're going to see a little bit of that on the field at the varsity level, but how have they contributed to the program over the 2 years they've had impact, and then the upcoming freshman class?
Yeah, so that group, you know, in the past, we've taken a couple of kids that were freshmen, that were, you know, the alphas of that group, and we kind of hand-plucked them and pulled them out, and we pulled them up to JV. And, you know, the kids are like, hey, cool, I'm a JV player now, or I even got to suit out for the varsity game. I might even got varsity reps. But anything we ended up doing was really diluting our freshman team, and then just making our JV team a little better. It didn't really make a huge difference. And I stopped that. So we're not touching those guys. And we did that with this group, and they stuck together, and they went 9-1 and won the border conference. And I'm not saying that doing that made them 9-1, but the problem that we've had at Carlsbad in the past is that these kids don't know how to win. And it's no knock on them. They just never been able to do it. So them going 9-1, they got kind of the taste of they got a little blood in the water. And they've found that success, and they've kind of figured out, okay, this is what it takes. So it was really good for that group to stick together, you know, and compete, go 9-1, beat Artesia in the border conference championship.
By the way.
Yeah, by the way. And then, and so that group as a sophomore now, you know, to them in their high school football career, they've won, you know, so that's expected, you know, and if we can duplicate that and do that year after year, like now I have a whole group of freshmen through seniors that's their expectations, and that's where we have to be at as a program, you know. I tell the kids all the time, you can't get on the bus or show up for a game and just be like, okay, I hope we do good in this game. I hope we win. And that's the part of you talk about Artesia. They go into everything thinking we're going to win. Like they're just born that way. It's like it's ingrained into them, and that comes from a winning surroundings and environment, and they expect to win, and our kids are hoping sometimes, and that's things sometimes we really are working on we're trying to change the culture, and it's not a light switch. Unfortunately, it takes a long time to do it, and we started with 119 kids at the start of the off season, and we're down to 80ish.
Okay.
And
that's a pretty good.
It is.
filter,
it's manageable, and honestly, some of those kids are really good kids. It just turns out that football's not for them,
right.
Or our standards are not for them, and
well, and I think you have to lead them to that too. Like you can't just.
Yeah, it wasn't the one day we're cutting 40.
Right,
right. It was a process, and at some point, these kids are weighing like, what am I doing versus like, I really want this, and. I would rather that kid quit on me in March or February, or him, realize, okay, this maybe is not the right thing for me, which is okay. I love those guys. I see them in the hallway. We shake hands. We're still good. Like, there's no hard feelings toward those guys. But
for sure,
it's just, football's not for them. It's not for everybody. A football player is pretty special, and you got to do some special things to get that title. And so, we've kind of whittled it down to the guys that have bought in, and they're there. And at this point, if you're still here, there's a reason, right? So you're at least cut from the right cloth.
Yeah.
And it's good. We had a bunch of new guys come out. Start of the year, you always get move-ins and guys that are like, hey, I just want to try it out. So we're hitting and missing on some of those guys, but we're bouncing back between that 75 and 85 number all the time.
Okay.
That's cool. Where we're at. So.
If you were to give a nickname to the Carlsbad Cavemen 2024, what would you give them? What would you say?
That's a good question.
I'll ask this again at the end of the year, probably.
Yeah.
But based on what you know.
What I know right now. I'm trying to think. I kind of got an idea.
Or maybe just a word that would describe the Cavemen this year.
Hopefully when we come back at the end of this year, I'm going to say shocking or incognito. Like, hopefully, people just, that's the same old Carlsbad. And hopefully we're not the same old Carlsbad. It's hard to tell when you're just clanging on each other all the time. You can get a feel for what your team is and what they're doing, but
the outcomes are a big deal.
You kick the lights on Friday night. It's a whole nother world. So hopefully when we come and revisit this week 8, 9, or 10, I can say, well, told you we were going to shock some people. So that's the plan, at least, for sure.
Okay. So what are we right now? Like resilient? A team that hasn't backed down from working hard type?
No, I would be resilient would be a good word. I would say dedicated.
Okay. That's good.
The guys that are in it, they're doing the right stuff. It's hard to work that hard and do what we did in the off season and be 2-8.
Yeah.
It takes a special person to be like, I'm doing all this work, and we were 2-8.
Nothing to show for it.
And unfortunately, the world's not fair.
Yeah.
And sometimes these kids are going to do that hard work, and they're going to do everything right, and they're still going to lose. And that's just a life lesson learned, right? And at the end of the day, we're trying to build men, and that's a great lesson for those guys down the path. But you have to kind of be a little dedicated to insanity is a good way to say it.
Yeah.
So because we do some crazy stuff, and insanity by definition is kind of what we do.
The Wyoming drill, of course.
Yeah, Mississippi.
All right. So, what is the game theme for the student section in Artesia? I know that they did. That there is one.
It's a blue out. So
okay.
It's all we'll be in white, of course, but I think they want the fans to be all blue. And normally, that's kind of reserved for home games. But I think they came out with.
Is there a section
where you're blue?
And
there's not a. I think we were trying to get a student section, but again.
I mean, if I was home team, I don't know if I would do it.
I don't think
you know what I mean. So I'm good with.
I'd say okay, yeah, and I'd put you.
Right.
I'd put you in the tennis court.
Behind the stands.
Yeah, something like that.
The tennis courts, yeah, exactly.
Put them on the baseball field or something.
Yeah.
But just wear your blue. get there early because all that orange is going to fill up that side too.
Oh, yeah.
And then just cheer the boys on, man, because they've worked hard and they deserve, a good showing. And honestly, we want to give this town something to be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
We preach it all the time. This community loves you. It's a football town. Everyone thinks it's a baseball town, but they love football in this town.
Yeah.
And they want to go out and they want to see a good football program. They want to see a good product put on the field. And, that's what we're striving to do, and like I said last year, we're going to take our ups and downs, and, we're still young too. Last year we had all those sophomores, 17, 18 of them that played every single game, and they're juniors now, and in real life, juniors are still pretty young when it comes to Friday night football.
Yeah.
So we're still gonna have our mistakes and our boo boos, and we still have a bunch of guys that are unproven. But that's just the ups and downs of having a young team. But I'm glad that a lot of those kids got a lot of Friday night action as sophomores. So it'll benefit us for sure.
Sure. Okay, so I wanted to ask because we're having, like you said, a blue out. It's going to be packed. I wanted to know, what is the fan that you're like, that's the kind of fan I just can't stand, and then the fan that you love? Maybe to hear from in the stands or see in the stands.
An opposing fan or a Carlsbad fan? Or any fan?
So let's just say the fan in general. The fan in general that you just are like, I can't do it. And then the fan that you're just like, that is
the fan,
a football
of course,
fan.
I can't stand is the fan that, is a way better coach than I'll ever be. And I'm not saying I'm a great coach. Like, I make mistakes just as much as the kids do. And I tell them all the time. And we were in meetings, and I'm like, that was a stupid call. I shouldn't have called that. I'll live and I'll learn from it. Friday nights, I'm going to make a bad call. It's just, I try not to, and we try to put our kids in the best situation to win, but just the nature of the beast, it's win or lose. Like,
it's going to happen.
You do that 120 times a game, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to not be right. But the fan that's, always second guessing or do this or call this or throw this or whatever. And I just wish like we had a Jumbotron and I could put up like an application for coaching license or something and they could go online and come help me if they were that good.
Yeah.
They're like, come help me. If you want to come help, come on.
You're still recruiting. You're still out there recruiting.
Yeah, I need more coaches.
Yeah.
But I love a great student section too. Like in our student section, last year was really good. They showed up. They stayed the whole time, and they did. And there were some games that I don't think anybody wanted to be there, and they were still rocking and rolling.
That's cool.
So, a nice rowdy, not dirty or vulgar,
right,
but a student section that's getting after the other team. Like I love to see a little bit of that. So
I heard some hype in the first initial pep rally at school. I felt like it had a little bit more energy than some of the things we saw last year. Did you notice
that place was packed?
It was packed.
I was like, holy cow.
More than ever, it seems.
They didn't know they could skip a pep rally, I guess.
They were surprised by it. I think it was a secret until it happened.
We tricked them.
Right, exactly.
But I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
And no offense to that class last year, but that class was kind of, when I say, they were smaller in numbers. There wasn't a whole lot of athletes. It was just and people want to blame it on the COVID year, and that was that first group that went through it, and they're out. But I tell the kids, you got to change the culture of that school, and that starts with the pep rally stuff. That starts with holding the door open for your teachers. That's sitting in the front. That's answering questions. When they do the 2 bits, like stand up freshmen.
It's so easy to clap.
It is.
It's so easy to clap.
And it's, I wouldn't say peer pressure, but we got to make that the norm.
Yeah,
like,
right.
If 10 kids do it, that 11th kid will be like, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah.
It's the social norm. Right?
Yeah,
It's the social norm. And so that'll turn into 20, into 30, into 50, into 100, into the whole freshman doing it, all sophomores doing it. Hey, going to a football game is actually cool. We're working, trying to work our magic to make sure all those kids get in. Because sometimes that $5 to get in the old door is, it's
a barrier.
Much.
It's something.
It is.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, if it was free,
yeah.
but at the same time, if it was free to get into a football game, is it taken for granted too? You know what I
True.
mean? Like, hey, I can get in free.
True.
Don't really want to go.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I
no,
feel like there's a fine line.
There is. I think we were working on some stuff about like buying a T-shirt. You know, that would get you like a free admission for all the 5 home games. You know,
That'd be cool.
at a deeply discounted rate. You know, do
Right.
something like that. You wear that shirt, you get in. You know, a lot of schools have ID cards for kids, and they actually use that to get in. And I know gate's important. You know, we spend a lot of money, and gate, you know, is part of that money. So you don't want to rob from yourself.
Right, right.
Man, whatever it takes to get those kids in. And I mean, I'm almost to the point now, heck, if we got a group of kids that want to go to a game and they can't afford it, just let me know. We'll pick it up. Like, I'll pick it up out of my pocket if I have to.
Right.
Like, I want everybody out there. I want grandmas. I want grandpas. I want kids. You know, you go to a high school football game, you want to see kids over there throwing the football around. You know, we're trying to, you know, I know the Butcher Club, they're selling like cowbells, and we bought more air horns. And,
Good.
like, I want that thing to be a circus. You know, like I want it to be an event. You know, it's Carlsbad. There's nothing else going on Friday night.
Exactly.
Get to the football game and root these guys on. Win, lose, or draw. Be positive. You know, because it's not like anyone's out there trying to lose or do bad.
Right.
You know?
No, yeah, for
It's
sure.
It's just the nature of the beast, right? There's always someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. But you know, we really want to get the community behind us and get these kids, you know, give them a little bit of love for what they've been doing.
Well, and I don't know. There's not an exact science to like what a crowd does and what a feeling does from the crowd. But I mean, there's
the best thing in the
100% energy that comes from it. There's so much like good, positive things that come from it that you really just can't explain or put on paper. But man, if we could do it, I like the idea, like you said, the T-shirt kind of thing. Like, yeah, you might lose ticket sales year 1 or 2, but after it starts to kind of pick up, it's like, okay, cool, we're going to go back to normal, and
you get people excited, and you won't have to worry about how much money you're going to make off gate. You know,
right?
It's hey, we're going to go up on prices if that's the case. You know,
right? And more sponsors are going to want to be there because people are going to see it. I mean, there's a lot that
and you know
can do.
We got some really cool stuff. I mean, the program as a whole is you know, my job is to make it an attractive program.
Right.
I want kids out. Like, I know we talked about 112 kids. Like, I want 200 to pick from. You know, we are, you know, like 8 students at the bottom of the 6A list of kids, right? So
I didn't know
we're
that.
we're the second
barely
smallest
hanging
school.
on.
Yeah, Alamo Gordo is the only one below us, and there were like eight students above us, and then it drops to 5A.
Wow.
So like, I have to get every single kid. You know, Hobbs is on the opposite end of the spectrum. They're the largest school in the state. They have 1,500 more kids to choose from than I do. That's double our school.
Wild.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's almost
They turn people away.
Yeah, it's like, I wish I had just give me another 400 kids to choose from. Give me 3 or 4 more kids, you know, and that's all, you know, law of numbers, right? But but being that attractive, the new field house, the lights, the scoreboards, you know, the sexy offense and sexy defenses, and the cool swag, and going back to like the media stuff. Like, kids love to see that stuff. They like to watch this stuff. But you know, you had some fans too.
Yeah.
After the season was over, everyone was like,
thanks to you.
I listened to your podcast. Like, opposing coaches, they're like, we listened every week.
Very
know?
cool.
And I was like, what?
So what do you have to say to the Artesia coaches?
I don't know if they watch, and I don't talk to them.
You
No, I don't talk to them.
You don't even want to know?
No, I don't know what they say because I don't talk to them. But yeah, they're like, we watch your show. Blah, blah,
That's
blah.
cool.
I'm like, man, maybe y'all be doing something different with your time than bird dogging the podcast. See if you're gonna get any nuggets out of Coach Sanders.
Right, you're trying to get some info, some intel. First uni of the year. What are we looking at? Do we have it?
Yeah,
Set
we
out?
do. Oh, we're gonna go solid white. Ghost white.
Ooh,
Yeah, we're gonna
okay.
white on white and white, and the kids, they, you know, we went over that today. We were going through our jersey rules and regs and all the NFHS stuff about back plates and mouthpieces and all that stuff. But I let the kids pick their undershirt, and so they want white on white on white.
So what is white on white? White undershirt, white jersey,
white pants,
white pants, blue
white socks.
White socks.
White socks.
Very cool. Okay, so we're iced out.
Iced out. As iced out. I wish we could have some white helmets, but
no chains allowed, or it would have been even better.
No.
Hey,
no jewelry, man.
but we need a turnover chain.
We got a turnover club.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
the
I
old
like that.
Rocky Club,
I like that.
right? Rocky, Ralphie, whoever. That's going to start an argument right there. But
Right. But you said Rocky is the official mascot name.
I believe so.
Rocky,
Yeah,
but
I could be wrong.
but Ralphie makes sense.
Ralphie sounds good, but I think everyone
Ralph Boyer
says
Stadium.
Ralphie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why people think that. But I believe it's Rocky. If I'm wrong, don't chastise
Yeah, please let
me.
us know in the comments if you do know. Yeah.
Yeah, the
okay.
best football movie, right? Get going
What's
on
that?
Be the best football movie. You got to
Get us
comment
started.
war going on.
Oh yeah, that was the best. Okay, you suit up today. This is your like off course question of the day. Okay, you suit up today. You realistically, how many yards are you getting at receiver? Because you played receiver through your career, you played it in college.
I'm suiting up as a 44-year-old.
Suiting up right now today.
I'm smoking them.
I love to hear
Smoking
it.
them.
I love to hear it.
You can ask them. I went to get some in the spring. They
Did
couldn't.
you?
Yeah, they couldn't.
Did you throw a
I
helmet
played
on, or
quarterback,
what'd you put?
though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dang.
I went for like 45 minutes, and then I had to quit because Hammy started kind of twinging a little bit. But before that, they were toast.
You get about 30 minutes of stretch. Are we an all-star? Are we making the all-star team? I love to hear
we're
it.
on the all-star team.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, first ballot.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
All right, brother.
Appreciate you for being on.
Absolutely.
Good luck against Artesia.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.